My name is Jackie. I've been surfing that stretch of beach since I was 16. It's quiet, tucked away from the crowds and tourists, just outside the radar of social media influencers and overpriced surf schools. Most mornings, I go alone. Just me, the board, the rising sun, and the rhythm of the water. That particular morning was no different, or at least, it wasn't supposed to be. The tide was steady, wind soft, the kind of calm that makes you forget the world beyond the waves. I had just paddled out and was letting myself drift when I noticed something bobbing in the water, maybe 30 feet ahead of me. It wasn't seaweed, it wasn't plastic, it was a bottle, glass, green-tinted, old-looking. I almost ignored it. People throw trash in the ocean all the time, but something about the way it floated, stubbornly upright, caught my eye. I swam over and pulled it from the water. Inside was a tightly rolled piece of paper, sealed with what looked like wax. Back on shore, I cracked it open and gently unrolled the note. The paper was damp and stained, the writing shaky, but still readable. 5 words. Please, help. And below it, a string of coordinates. I stared at it for a long time, my heart suddenly pounding. At first, I thought it was a joke, some message in a bottle gimmick. But something about it felt real, urgent. I took a picture, plugged the coordinates into my phone. It pointed to a tiny, unnamed island off the coast. No houses, no roads, just a patch of green in the middle of nowhere. Something told me this wasn't a prank. Something told me someone was really out there. The island, I reported it that same day. I showed the note to the local authorities, expecting them to shrug it off. But surprisingly, they didn't. The officer I spoke to took one look at the coordinates, frowned, and said, "That island's not on any official maps." Not really. He forwarded it to the Coast Guard. That's when things started moving fast. 2 days later, I got a call from a woman named Agent Brenner. "Homeland Security," she said. She thanked me for my civic awareness and asked if I'd be willing to answer a few more questions in person. The meeting wasn't in a normal office. They brought me to a federal building near the harbor. Security guards, metal detectors, the whole 9 yards. Inside, she pulled out a map and slid it across the table. "You found this?" I nodded. "Yeah, just floating in the water. I thought it was fake," she said. "We did too." She showed me the satellite image of the island. It looked like a dot of jungle. No buildings, no trails, just untouched land. Except it wasn't. Agent Brenner explained that the island had been flagged once before, years ago, during an aerial surveillance sweep. Back then, it showed signs of possible illegal marine activity. But nothing concrete. No follow-up. No funding. "Until your bottle," she said. I watched as a team assembled over the next 2 days. Satellite imaging specialists, tactical support, medics. They were moving fast. Something about the coordinates had raised a red flag. By day 4, they launched a drone flyover. That's when everything changed. The drone captured what ground-level images couldn't. A compound, buried in dense foliage. Camo netting strung between palm trees. Faint heat signatures, too many for a fishing camp or research post. One section of the compound had movement. People, at least 6. Some of them waved when the drone passed. They weren't waving like, "Hey, we're cool." They were waving like they were trying not to drown. I wasn't there for the raid, but Agent Brenner called me afterward. Her voice was different this time. Tired, strained. "We got them out," she said. "They were trapped?" "Worse," she replied. The compound was a drug manufacturing site. Methamphetamines, based on the chemicals recovered. But it wasn't just a lab. It was a prison. The people inside were captives, smuggled in over time, flown from different countries, lured with promises of jobs or simply taken outright. Some had been there for months, others, years, chained at night, watched during the day, forced to work in makeshift labs under brutal conditions, beaten if they slowed down. One woman had burns across her arms and face from a chemical spill that no one ever treated. Another had a broken leg that healed wrong. One of them, a young man named Diego, had hidden a small notebook beneath a floorboard. Inside, plans to escape, maps of the shoreline, names, schedules, and a note. I will send the bottle. If it floats, maybe someone finds us. Diego didn't survive. They think he was killed weeks before the raid. His body was buried in a shallow pit behind the compound, but his bottle made it. The others? They were hospitalized, identified, reunited with families, those who still had them. And the site? It was torched, dismantled. Every barrel, every container catalogued. But here's where it gets darker. The island wasn't the only one. During debriefings, some survivors mentioned others, other drop points, other islands, other labs. The captors moved them sometimes, by boat, usually at night. They didn't know where, just that there were more. The feds kept digging. What started with one bottle became an international sting. They linked the island to a trafficking ring spanning 4 countries. Arrests in Florida, Honduras, the Philippines. A cargo ship intercepted with enough raw materials to cook millions in product. It all traced back to a single symbol etched into a supply crate on the island. A red snake. That was their brand, their signature, their warning. That's when things got personal. For about 2 weeks, I was under the radar. Quiet. Then the messages started. At first, just weird texts. You talk too much. Not your business. We know where you surf. Then came the calls. No caller ID, just breathing. Then silence. I told Agent Brenner. She told me to change my number. I did. The calls stopped, until they started again. Someone left a dead gull on my front porch, its neck twisted, its feathers soaked. That was when they moved me. Witness protection, unofficially. Just until the network cools down, they said. I was relocated inland. New job, new place, new phone. Every once in a while I'd get updates from Agent Brenner. They were still finding people, still shutting down sites. But they hadn't caught everyone, and some of the ones they didn't catch? They wanted answers. They wanted revenge. The ripple. It's been almost a year now. No more texts, no more dead birds, no more calls in the night. The silence is the loudest part. I still keep the bottle, locked in a drawer. I don't know why. Maybe as proof that it really happened, that a message drifting in the ocean can still mean something, that someone's last desperate hope wasn't wasted. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see the island, the waving hands, the shadow of the drone overhead, the people who didn't make it. I get calls now and then, from families, from survivors, from strangers who heard the story and just want to say, thank you. It never feels deserved. But I answer anyway. Because if a man risked his life to send out a message in a bottle, then the least I can do is make sure no one ever forgets who found it.